Part 1. The year was 1925, and the air in Harlem buzzed with the vibrant energy of the Renaissance. Jazz poured out from every corner, mingling with the laughter and chatter of dreamers and doers. Amidst this whirlwind of culture and creativity, the Davis family moved into their new home, a grand, old brownstone on Lenox Avenue. Charles Davis, a jazz trumpeter with dreams as big as the city, had finally found a place to anchor his family. Evelyn, his wife, was a strong and passionate woman whose unwavering support had seen Charles through many rough patches. Their children, Samuel, aged 16, and Grace, aged 14, were equally captivated by the promise of Harlem. Samuel, with his father's musical talent, aspired to be a pianist, while Grace, with her mother's sharp mind and tender heart, wrote poetry that spoke of dreams and aspirations. As they settled into their new home, Evelyn couldn't shake a strange feeling. The brownstone, with its high ceilings and intricate woodwork, seemed to hold on to echoes of the past. On their first night, after the last box was unpacked and the children had gone to bed, Evelyn stood in the living room, surveying their new life. The faint strains of a melody drifted through the air, an old jazz tune filled with sorrow and longing. "Charles, do you hear that?" she asked, turning to her husband, who was adjusting a picture frame. "Hear what, Eve?" Charles replied, pausing to listen. "The music. It's haunting." Charles shook his head. "You're just tired. It's been a long day. Come to bed." But Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was watching them. The melody. The days that followed were filled with the excitement of new beginnings. Charles quickly became a regular at the local speakeasy, the Cotton Club, where his trumpet solos mesmerized the crowd. Samuel began to spend his afternoons at the piano, practicing until his fingers ached. Grace, inspired by the vibrant neighborhood, filled her notebook with poems about the sights and sounds of Harlem. Evelyn busied herself with turning the house into a home, but the strange occurrences continued. Objects moved on their own, and cold drafts filled the house despite the summer heat. One night, as she was unpacking in the attic, she stumbled upon an old, dusty phonograph with a single record inside. Curious, she placed the needle on the record. The same haunting melody filled the room, sending chills down her spine. She looked at the record sleeve and saw the name, Eliza Jackson. "Eliza Jackson," she whispered to herself. "Who are you?" Shadows and whispers. As the days turned into weeks, Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that the house was alive with the presence of Eliza Jackson. She began to notice shadowy figures at the edge of her vision, always disappearing before she could get a clear look. The children, too, felt the eerie presence. Grace's poetry became darker, filled with verses about unseen eyes and ghostly whispers. Samuel, ever the skeptic, dismissed it all as imagination, but even he couldn't deny the cold touch on his shoulder when he was alone. One evening, as the family sat down for dinner, the atmosphere in the house shifted. The air grew thick, and the temperature dropped. The haunting melody began to play, louder and more insistent than ever. "Enough of this," Charles exclaimed, standing up from the table. I'm going to find out what's going on. The unsettling discovery. Charles marched up to the attic, determined to confront whatever was haunting their home. Evelyn and the children followed, their footsteps echoing in the silent house. When they reached the attic, Charles picked up the phonograph and hurled it across the room. The record shattered, and the melody stopped. For a moment, the silence was deafening. Then, a cold breeze swept through the room, and the shadowy figure of a woman appeared before them. Her eyes were filled with sorrow, and she raised a hand as if to reach out to them. "Who are you?" Evelyn asked, her voice trembling. "I am Eliza Jackson," the ghostly figure replied. "And this house holds my sorrow." With those words, the figure vanished, leaving the Davis family standing in the cold, dark attic, the weight of Eliza's sorrow pressing down on them. As they descended the stairs, Evelyn knew that their lives were forever changed. The brownstone on Lenox Avenue was not just a home, it was a place where the past and present collided, where love and sorrow intertwined. And as the haunting melody played in her mind, Evelyn realized that the story of Eliza Jackson was far from over.